Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ace of Spades University channel. Today, I want to discuss the Netflix documentary of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in their own words. So, the first volume is out, the second volume comes out on December 15th. But I love the fact that they have taken back the narrative, and it reminds me a little bit of the Oprah Winfrey video that they did, or the interview back when Megan was pregnant with Lily Beth, about what was going on during their time in the UK. And, people were asking about like how dark their son Archie would be, and just a lot of racism that Megan was facing. This documentary is a little bit more, it gives a little bit more insight into not only just the racism that she faced in the UK, but more about their background, both her background growing up with her mother, her father's side. We see what the royal family and the British media are contracted. I mean, they're really under like contractual obligations. And I didn't realize, one, how vicious the British media is and even was to Prince Harry's mom, Princess Diana. They were ruthless. Like, they would hound them. Prince Harry said, in his own words, that growing up there were always cameras around and, paparazzi in their face. And that's just a really difficult way for anybody, regardless of the age, to grow up or to live. That's not sustainable. I couldn't imagine I remember him and his brother William. I remember seeing the funeral of Princess Di, like, briefly, because I'm, in the US and I was young then. But watching it now as an adult, I realize just how horrible that must have been, to be that young and forced to walk miles behind your mother's casket after knowing that the paparazzi hounded her to death. Okay. And then him and William were forced to greet like the public, and they were told not to show any emotion. That's inhumane. That is dehumanizing. As human beings, we should all be allowed to show the full spectrum of emotions. And for so long, you know, as a Black woman, you're told, you can't be too upset or passionate. You're seen as angry. Or you can't be, you know, et cetera, XYZ, right? But I'm realizing that, you know, and maybe that is a Eurocentric issue that has filtered to the rest of the world through colonization. Perhaps that's it, the suppression of emotions. I'm just like, that was so sad. And I mean, their media, they literally have publishing houses and like all of their castles, and they really went after this couple. And Harry said that, he could see the pattern because after Princess Diana and Prince Charles divorced, she fell in love with somebody that wasn't white, and she was hounded to death for it. And he said that, he had to get his wife out of England because they weren't going to stop until she died. He said he wasn't willing to lose another woman that he cared about in his life. And I completely understand, and I commend him for that, because the British media, like, they really have their hooks in the royal family, and they have to present themselves whenever the media wishes, pretty much at all times because they're taxpayer funded. So when Harry and Meghan left the UK, not only were they free from all those royal, working duties and obligations, but they wanted freedom, period. Like they just wanted to live their lives on their own terms. And that's what I loved about this documentary. It was in their own words. Another thing that I really loved that wasn't covered in the Oprah Winfrey video was Meghan Markle talking about how colorism played a huge part in her treatment, or her not being prepared for the treatment that she received once she was in the UK. Because she is biracial and racially ambiguous for most of her life, she said that she wasn't treated as a Black woman and she didn't experience the type of misogynoir the Black women experience due to her being, fair skinned, and she would straighten her hair and her features are very Eurocentric. And her mom, I love her mom, such a sweetheart. Her name is Daria, as seen here. She said that she agreed with Meghan and that she never really, talked with her about the type of racism that Black women or dark-skinned Black women would face because her daughter was so fair, and she tried to shield her from that. And she says that looking back on it, she realizes, that was a mistake. But I understand her mindset of wanting to shield her daughter from as much hatred as possible. And since her daughter was half white and she, was racially ambiguous and coded as a, she could pass for, and that's another thing, passing. She could pass for like a darker, Sicilian woman. There's a lot of African ancestry in Sicily because they're so close to the continent. So Meghan just says she really was not prepared for the hatred and the vitriol that came her way, while she was in the UK dating Harry, because she had never experienced it before. And I thought that was really eye-opening, not only for her, and I'm glad that she was in her 30s when they met, that she was a fully, she was a full grown woman with her own career, and she had already, been not only an actress on Suits and successful in her own right, but I mean, she had done humanitarian work and had traveled and, had a full life. She was even married once before. So that I can say, really helped her in terms of having to face the media scrutiny that she did, because yeah, the British media is no joke. And really, again, she said, they expected a lot of the negativity in Meghan's life to come from her mother's side because her mother's Black, but actually it came from her father's side, and specifically her sister, Samantha Markle, who's 16 years older than her. That was her father's oldest daughter. Here she's seen with her niece, Samantha's daughter, and her niece and her are close. She was at her wedding, but she said that, she's not close with her mother, Samantha, because her mother pretty much abandoned her. And so there was just a lot of tea being spilled about the Markle side. And, Daria, her mother, she is classy. She's into fitness. She's a social worker. But yeah, here's Harry talking about he's on a freedom flight. And I know, I can only imagine how happy he was to be relieved of not only, his ties to the royal family, but just to be free of all of the scrutiny and the backlash that they received constantly. They just want to live their life. They want to raise their children and be, in love and enjoy peace. Tyler Perry was there because the royal family pulled their protection, so they weren't protected at all. So Tyler Perry stepped in, which was wonderful, and provided protection for them and literally shelter. He had them at his home, which is gated and protected. So shout out to Meghan Markle, who had connections. She's really good friends with Serena Williams, and she has connections within the industry. And I feel like she's even more so connected than Harry, because the royal family was all about protecting William and Kate and Prince Andrew, right? With his issues being, photographed with the young girl who was trafficked on Jeffrey Epstein's island. And of course, with William and Kate and the cheating allegations, Harry says that they lied to protect my brother, but they wouldn't tell the truth to protect my wife and I. And I thought that line was remarkable. So I am going to, of course, make another video when volume 2 drops and keep you guys posted. And I look forward to hearing about Harry's book, Spare. He was always considered the spare brother versus the heir who would inherit the throne, William. But yeah, I couldn't imagine growing up in just like the golden cage. But I'm glad that he and Meghan, with their 2 babies, are living their best lives in California, away from all the British media and royal family nonsense. So drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. Talk to you later. Bye.